That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are back and we're moving over to the North American edition of the DreamHack Masters Spring 2020. And we're starting off with the best of NA in Team Liquid. If they can still be held to that title, going up against FURIA, who definitely deserve the title of best in Brazil after what they showed us yesterday versus MIBR. I've got Potter and Pip to talk this one through with. And guys, this is actually a normal situation where we'd probably be saying, Liquid, yeah, this should be a game for them to win. This should be an easy game for them to achieve success in. But FURIA, they potentially looking like the better team here.
They've been looking good. They've been looking very good, I think. And as you said, Liquid yesterday, wasn't the day before that. Sorry, wasn't really looking too sharp. Seems like to me that Liquid are in an identity crisis. I think me and Christine talked about that a few days ago as well. That they are not playing up to the level that we know they can. Whereas for FURIA, it seems like they are taking this period with online Counter-Strike super serious, and they're making the most out of it. So yeah, coming into this one, FURIA are the favorites, and I don't think neither of us would have expected me to say that only 2 months ago.
Yeah, definitely so. And I have to agree about that identity crisis aspect that you mentioned, Jacob. And it's really, I mean, you can see the proof in the pudding when you're interviewing these players. Twist, when we spoke to him yesterday after his disappointing series and performance, he mentioned, I said, it seemed like the synergy between Stewie and Nap was not on point, and he divulged, it's not good with me either. It seems like when I play with Nap, we had to change up the strategies before we went live. We had to change up some positions to make me feel more comfortable. So there's definitely some issues going on the Liquid side of things as far as their approach goes, because as far as the shots go, they're hitting their shots. They're hitting headshots. They're getting aces. They're getting the same normal flick plays that we love to see out of these Liquid individuals. So they've got to figure out how they want to approach the game as a team.
Now, looking at the group we have here, right, the likes of Chaos getting their opening win here. We see them kind of sitting pretty with the 3 points. Yes, it was a crazy game they had to play against Liquid, but it's quite a thing now where you can look at it and think, hey, Chaos, you've got a great chance of making it towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that victory against Liquid, they're definitely gonna bound well for them, right? That may even be enough for them to go through this group. Let's not forget that number 1 goes straight into the upper bracket, and number 2 and 3 goes into the lower bracket. So 3 different teams progress from this one. That being said, though, you know, if you're MIBR right now, if you're Team Liquid, you're already under pressure right now, right? Liquid lose tonight, they have to win the very last game of the group against MIBR, and that's a lot of pressure to be under. So already now, this group is shaping up to be one hell of a fight.
Now, looking at Team Liquid as a whole and going into a bit more detail on these guys, we've already said that the identity crisis is 100% there. But I think the scary thing for these guys is they're not enjoying the online play, and it's something they have to deal with. They've said it in the interviews. Yeah, LAN is where we feel most comfortable. But how do you fix yourselves now? Because it's been 3 events now, back-to-back, all online, that they've not had success in.
Exactly. And look, bottom line is the end of 2019, they obviously had a very packed schedule. They didn't have a lot of time to go home and grind out those small details to get better. But now, I mean, they've had plenty of time at home, and even more so in the future looking ahead. So now it's crunch time. It's time to get down to the nitty gritty and go over those details and figure out exactly what the problems are and fix them, because these teams and players, James, I keep saying it, they're just getting better and better, and people are impressing us. Different people are impressing us each day. So time is of the essence here.
You want to hear what I think, James? You want to hear what I think?
Go for it.
I played in Liquid, right? And I know I'm known for saying that sentence quite a lot. You know, all the HLTV guys out there, you're welcome. Now, listen up. When I was in Liquid, we constantly changed our in-game leader. Nitro was calling, then Elise tried to call, then Hiko was the caller, then back to Nitro. The same thing is happening again right now with Liquid. Stewie 2K is the one calling the shots right now for Liquid. It's no longer Nitro. That's a big problem. That's an identity crisis right there. If you don't have a dedicated in-game leader to your team, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're not going to be a consistent top team in the world. And we want Liquid to be a consistent top team in the world. I remember how annoying it was to constantly change the in-game leader. 1 week you're trying to practice with one, sort of setup. You're trying to implement a new playstyle, and then the next week it's going to be Hiko, who has a different way of calling, a different way of playing Counter-Strike. If they're going back into that bad routine, Liquid is going to be in big trouble. So you better decide whether it's going to be Stewie 2K or Nitro who's going to call for the future, and then you better stick to it. Don't swap back and forth. It's not going to help you.
I'm sat here stunned, Pim, because that makes perfect sense as to why we saw the issue of the synergy that you guys mentioned on Inferno, and then we saw things where Twisted Interview was saying, we changed things up just before the game, even though we did something different in practice. But I think we should hear from the Liquid camp in a little bit more detail to see what's exactly going on here.
We played against FURIA a couple times in the last couple weeks, and we thought that we fixed our mistakes the last time that we played against them, but we clearly still have a lot more to work on. We have a really good idea of like how they play. We just have to still iron out exactly how we want to be reacting to what they do, because before we knew what they do, we had like a game plan against that, but we needed more ironed out if we want to be able to beat them.
Yeah, he's got a sense that they're coming in. Oh, and he's got both. Vinny was so far ahead of the pack. Twists. He could even throw a smoke.
The higher level teams are going to be playing the same way that they would be on land, like generally speaking, and FURIA definitely does. They do crazy things online, but they also do that same stuff on land. That's just how they play, and we need to be good enough to adapt to it and punish that type of stuff that they do.
Now, we've seen many teams struggle to deal with the madness, the chaos that FURIA deliver in the server. And I think Elise is onto it there, right? For FURIA, they play exactly the same, whether it's LAN or online in this sense. And for them, they just have confidence in the spades of it, which is something that Liquid seem to be lacking.
Yeah, definitely so. And I know in the beginning of 2019, when we first were watching FURIA, figuring out, man, these guys are actually contending to take away MIBR's Best in Brazil title here. And at that point, we were like, what is Art doing? What is his playstyle? How does this team really capitalize on this sort of aggression? But now you can see clearly that these players on FURIA, they've absolutely embraced the crazy, chaotic moments that Art provides for this squad and the spacing that he provides. And I mean, the individuals on the FURIA lineup, they've just absolutely been stepping up. Vinny yesterday with his USPS, it was like a laser beam in that server. Yuri seems to always consistently show up and put up big numbers on the scoreboard. So certainly I'm expecting exactly that today as well.
And that's the thing about FURIA. When you look at this team as a whole, they actually have more in terms of like superstars that can just pop off at any time. And you don't see them relying on just one player. Before, at the beginning, we were always talking about Kay Savato, but I just keep seeing so many moments from everyone on the team now.
Yeah, there's so many great players within the FURIA camp. It's a no-brainer why MIBR at a certain point trying to poach not only one player, but a few of the players to get into their camp and try to help MIBR get good again. FURIA is a very exciting team, right? And if you even want an extra, let's say an extra caveat to look at for this game, Liquid right now in the free fall, they're changing in-game meters back and forth. EG not playing some solid Counter-Strike either. FURIA could potentially claim this spot as the #1 North American team if they continue the path they're on right now. If they beat Liquid today, if they go far in this tournament and Liquid don't step it up, if EG don't step it up, if Gen G, maybe slows down a little bit, there's a case to be made that FURIA could be the #1 team from North America as of right now. And that to me is very exciting.
Oh, it really is exciting as well. And when you're looking at FURIA as a whole, I feel like the main thing that they've got this going for them very well is they've kept that family atmosphere going. We see Gary in the background, their coach, and he's loud and proud. You hear him at all the events the whole way through, but he gives them that little extra boost the whole way through. But I can only imagine how different it is for him on the online side of things. But let's see what the FURIA camp had to say, because I'm sure they're wanting to prove a point in this game.
I think playing against Liquid, it's always hard. They're kind of struggling a little bit with their team right now, and I think we're just really good at the moment, and I think this benefit us in the matchups. I would say not preparing anything special, just watching the previous games and like creating new stuff to try to surprise them.
But Yuri could have it dead to rights. He shuts down two, and this should be the beginning of the end. Yuri continuing to light up the...
Yeah, I think that this whole week was good for us to watch our matches and try to fix all the mistakes possible. I think we're just gonna deliver even more than our 100%, and it's for sure that that's gonna be a close match.
Grand final looking to be solidified, and there it is, 16-12. They get it done.
Now, the crazy thing for me here for FURIA is when you're looking at the games they've had recently against Liquid, they've won the past 3 best-of-3s against them, and it just gets better each time. That's you wouldn't believe it.
No, and I think it's a FURIA that is constantly getting better as it is right now. Christine, you're obviously involved more in the North American scene than I am on a daily basis right now, but the way I feel it over there is that these guys from FURIA, they are hungry. They are hungry to show the world that they can be the #1 team, potentially in the world someday, but at least for now in North America. EG not playing well, Liquid not playing well, MIBI is a shadow of himself. These guys are super, super hungry, and I'm starting to believe that whole Project FURIA actually could be, 2020 could be their year. 2020 could be the year where they cement themselves as the best North American team.
Oh, absolutely. But FURIA, these group of guys, they're no stranger to being in exactly this position. They were in this position in the summer of 2019, just beginning out.
Yeah.
They started teetering. They started flirting with the top 10, being a top 10 team in the world. And they actually made it all the way to being the top 5 team in the world. Obviously, they lost that ranking very, very fast after receiving it. But I mean, they've been here before. They know how to capitalize on opportunities. They know exactly what they're capable of. And I expect them to do a little bit better this time around in 2020.
Well, you're talking about opportunities there, Potter. What opportunities do we see in this veto for Liquid to maybe even have a chance? Because we see I'm so positive about FURIA.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, James. This is going to be the third BO3 that FURIA has won. If it goes the way I think it will, which FURIA will probably pick Vertigo here once again. This will be the third time that they're going to be on this Vertigo. I don't think that bodes quite as well for FURIA as one might think. I think Liquid are getting more and more used to this chaotic playstyle. They're understanding exactly how to tackle the FURIA side of things. So maybe FURIA don't pick Vertigo, but I think it's going to come out in this series again.
I think
you're right.
What
do you reckon, Pim?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's for Liquid. It's tough to. It's tough to push FURIA into a position where you feel like they've lost the veto, right? Because if you're Liquid and you look at the current map pool, what are you going to pick? Like, what can you pick from Liquid to be a punish pick against FURIA? I don't see it happening, right? We're not going to see a Train. We're not going to see a Dust 2. But apart from that, I feel all the maps are open. FURIA leaning towards Vertigo. I agree with that. But furthermore, right? Liquid don't really have a punish pick for FURIA, and I think that's a big problem.
Well, here we go. We see it popping up. And yeah, there we have it once again. It's going to be Vertigo coming out from FURIA, the nuke pick from Liquid, and we end up as a Mirage to side it. If we get to Mirage, though, that could be kind of interesting because, okay, we saw Liquid have a comfort with that, but it didn't look so good when it came up against the likes of Chaos.
No, and it's very interesting that they picked nuke. The last 2 times they played it, they lost to North American teams. They lost 16-7 against Envy. They lost 16-9 against Bad News Bears, or whatever they're called, right? It's not even with all the respect to those guys, not a top team, not a team that Liquid should struggle against, right? So they must have seen some weakness in the FURIA camp on this map. And yes, FURIA is not a strong nuke team either, at least not right now. But if that's the best you can pick against FURIA, then Liquid, you're in big trouble.
Well, looking at the performances here for Team Liquid now, you look at it, right? The past 3 months, it has not been pretty for them, and it starts to show in all of this.
Yeah, definitely so. And even just seeing Team Liquid vetoing out the overpass, I mean, this is definitely another map that I said yesterday, Nitro, he feels very comfortable on this map. And it's the only remaining map that he actually primary AWPs on. So you can definitely see just this huge shift in Team Liquid's approach to the game and exactly their mentality towards each other, towards their map pool. Once again, it's so strange to think, but Team Liquid's map pool, it's suffering.
Yeah, and that's something we didn't think we'd be saying, especially you look even towards the end of last year where things started to slow down a bit for them. They were still a contender, and now we're in this position where we're saying, okay, Liquid, what can you do with your map pool here? So what we've seen and what options we have here in the veto, is this a potential 3-mapper, guys, or do we just have too much faith in FURIA and what they can deliver? Because it's really sounding like you guys are heavily in the FURIA camp, much like I am.
I don't think I've ever seen a veto that painted a picture of an identity crisis as much as this veto for Liquid, right? They have nowhere to go. They have no stable map pool. They don't really feel comfortable on any given map at the moment. Liquid has obviously a chance to win because Liquid are supposed to be the better team. They are the more experienced players. They have arguably more skill, I'd say. But right now, they're not a better team. They're not working together. They're not working in synergy. They're inside some sort of identity crisis. I would be very surprised if FURIA is not going to win this one. Question remains, is it going to be in 2 maps or 3 maps? I mean, North American Counter-Strike, it could go 3 maps, but I think FURIA overall are the better team as for now. So I'd be surprised if they're not going to get this one.
Potter, what about you? It sounds like Pim's going for FURIA. I know I'm definitely going to be on the FURIA side with this, especially after what we saw yesterday. Where do you think it's going?
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Furia here. And I have to agree with you, James. I do think 3 maps is absolutely possible. Of course, it's Team Liquid that we're talking about. And as I mentioned before, they're hitting their shots. I mean, Naphew is popping off in all of the series prior to. It's just like what Jacob said, that synergy between each other, that teamwork, it's lacking.
Yeah.
So if they don't bring that, then Furia, they headshot just as much as Liquid do. So on the teamwork aspect, Furia will win out in the end.
And that's a problem which maybe LAN and boot camps can solve, but that's not possible for Team Liquid right now, and they've got to deal with the hand that they have been dealt with. And Twitch chat, you've heard what we think about all of this. You guys can make your votes on who you think is going to go and take this series. But what we're going to do is take a quick break, and when we come back, it's going to be Liquid taking on Furia, and you're going to have Scrawny and Launders to take you through all the action as always. The game is just about to start. Furia taking on Team Liquid here, and it's an all-important one for both sides. Furia to prove a point, and Liquid to show if they can muster a win and can show us what we expect from the great team from NA. And Pimp and Potter, I want to take a look at these Twitch results and see what they're doing and see if they're agreeing with us, because, again, it just seems so wild to me that we've been sat here so positive about Furia the whole time. They've always been capable, but when they got up against Liquid, I just couldn't see it. But look, Twitch chat, they still believe in Liquid. Only by a small percentage, though. I think last year that might have been a little bit different.
Well, I guess we have to take back everything we said, because Twitch Red is always correcting. That's just the way it is. I mean, win conditions for Liquid. We saw Elise 2 days ago play some abysmal Counter-Strike. He was nowhere to be found on the server. That can't happen today. Today we're going up against Furia, who have, as you said, James, 5 capable players of going off. Elise needs to have a good game today. If he does have one, though, I do believe Liquid can pull it to a third map, Mirage. Furia have won 9 in a row on Mirage at the moment. So good luck to Team Liquid, even if you get it to a third.
And look at those odds as well. It's absolutely even despite Furia's recent success. I actually thought they'd be more favored in Furia.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we still have to remember it's Team Liquid, right? It's still Team Liquid. They are still the best team in North America. They've just had a few bumps in the road up until now, and we just don't know if that bump is big enough to last or how long it's gonna last. That's all.
They're about to collapse, you know. We don't really know.
Let's hope they don't collapse, but we've gone with what Twitch have that they're going for Liquid. We've all gone for Furia, and you guys at home can follow along on DreamHackPick'em.com to make sure that you are trying to guide your way through success on this. But Potter, Pimp, I got to say goodbye to you guys, and I got to bring on Scrawny and Launders as they're going to get themselves ready for this opening game. And guys, my Canadian brothers over here, you're looking sharp, you're looking fresh.
What's going on?
You ready for this?
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah! It's going to be really exciting to see, if Liquid can handle Furia. They've been the team to rise throughout North America during this online segment, so it's exciting. This is going to be a really exciting BO3. And do you need to rub some luck off to the other Canadians in the server as well? I think because you did it for Chaos last time around.
Yeah, that's true. We had Theo and John G. Yeah, those are our guys, and now we've got Twist and Nafly, and you know what, Nafly, he's been nuts, so I'm excited. I think he'll play well. And you know what, it's like Alish said in the interview, they often play to the level of their teammates, and they have respect for Furia, which are 2 things I think that are good ingredients for Liquid to play well.
And what do you think's going on in the Liquid camp from your eyes? Because obviously I've just been hearing from Pimp and Potter and what they think's going on, but it's like that whole in-game leader change and crisis going on there. That's just wild. You wouldn't expect that for a team like them.
Well, you were with us at, there's an event that we were at all recently where we were able to hear their comms, and we knew that Stewie was already doing a lot of the calling in the first place. Now there might be a title on it, but he was already the player. And even when I played with him, he was the guy that, even not as the IGL, had great ideas every round. And him and Alish have been taking on the brunt of the calling. Nitro's actually quite a quiet player, honestly. Yeah. And so I don't think anything's changed recently that would allude to like their playstyle changing. I think he's just been volunteering to call for so long now that they're giving him the title, but he has been doing it. We know that. Yeah,
I think it's a combination of that. And then you also have to remember that Team Liquid are a team of high achievers. Like individually, these are personalities that want to achieve the most. They want to win every single match. And for that reason as well, I think you can only kind of stumble for so long before those vocal voices start to become louder and louder. And maybe this is the period that we've hit. You know, maybe Nitro just kind of felt the pressure from his players, and now they get to take a bit more control. And maybe that'll be the success in the end. Maybe that's what leads to their rebound. But time will tell. You know, this is still kind of new. So I suppose we have to stop looking at Team Liquid as what was the best team in the world for X amount of time and start looking at them as what is now a transition period.
Yeah, and it's a big transition period for them to go to, not both in the fact that obviously what we're dealing with going into online, then preferring the LAN events like they've been very vocal about, but also that trying to figure yourself out in this kind of situation where you may be used to boot camping stuff is very different. I can only imagine it takes quite a toll on the guys.
Yeah, no, sometimes I think for teams that are playing online, they don't want to have to try as hard. And I think that, you know, admitting that you play to the level of your teammates, I think is also supposing that you're kind of lazy in a sense, right? You have the ability to play at any level, whatever your teammates, whatever your opponents are going to be at. But for some reason, when you play against a bad team, you play badly. It's like the tools are there in the toolbox, but are you pulling them out? And so if that's the decision, that might be a mentality thing they need to work on. But they've got to forget the fact that LAN doesn't exist right now because everybody's online.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
this is CS, right? I'm curious actually to know what Liquid's setup is in terms of playing these tournaments, because I mean throughout this production we've gotten the Chaos cam, we've seen North in the European segment all on camera too. I'm curious whether Team Liquid are all together in this moment or if they are one of those teams who are all separate in their homes. That could also play a factor, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and I think they are all separate as well. I believe you're completely correct with that. But it's time for us to get into the game, guys. So I'm going to let you do your thing because it's Vertigo opening up here.
Thanks, James. We'll see him and the analyst back in a bit. But that's right, Mohan. We've shed the extra weight. It's just me and you now. How's that feel?
Yeah, we're missing some shoulders, I think, on these two cams, unfortunately, with James. But yo, chat, let's get the silly champs ready. It's going to be a great match. Vertigo, good for both teams. And if you guys were here yesterday watching MIBR play against FURIA on Vertigo, and the day before watching Liquid play on Vertigo, there's a lot to figure out about how their styles will clash and who's playing really well. We know Nafly's playing really well. We know Twist recently has had a number of very good matches, and Elise is bouncing back on top of that. And for FURIA, they're just very consistently winning. And so I think yesterday they're throwing caution a little bit to the wind because they never were out of control of the match. But I feel like if they played like they did yesterday, I honestly think that Liquid can win.
Right, I wanted to say that I would try and describe what we saw from FURIA, especially on their CT side here on Vertigo, as stubborn. Not in a negative sense because they still walked away with their win, but it was stubborn because they continued to make the same setups time and time again until that individual level cracked through and was enough to finish off the game. And we saw a spectacular 4K from Henny on the op, just kind of prying down ramp. And don't forget that I would argue Team Liquid would love to lock horns in that sort of a matchup. You know, Nafly in particular, I would argue, just a great matchup for FURIA in general. Everybody wants to clash. And so without further ado, folks, let's get this action under the way. We've got, whoa, fast flank from Twist. Or rather, excuse me, what am I talking about? He's a T. We've got a fast push from the defense down the stairs. So he gets disrupted from that position. And Henny, well, he's the first casualty of the first round. The pistol now dropping bomb over here towards the B site. Yuri looking for another, but he can't manage anything more than the one. So it's a man advantage for Team Liquid to try and get this plant in. They were able to clear those players down at the base of B stairs and through CT spawn. So the split ends up working and it leaves Art 1v3. He's tapped, and that's Liquid with a pistol.
It's a really nice pistol round. I think Twist is down there to try to, first of all, see if anybody's playing there. And then they have 2 tags on 2 B players, which means that's most of the players that are going to be on the site. So if you can get a kill, great. If he stays alive, they're locked in, and they have to watch now the back plus defend on the site. FURIA do a good job of adapting, almost bringing that round close. But it's a great B split overall from Liquid as the mid guys go through their protocols and safely get into the heaven area, which is the most important part. You know, taking out Henny first. But I like that B split quite a lot because it puts a lot of pressure on the players that are pushing up, which a lot of players are doing right now.
No blatant A aggression in that pistol either. Again, for anybody who didn't have the chance to tune in our Brazilian bashing yesterday.
Let's talk about that for a second. So for those of you who missed it, basically what it looked like was FURIA were very uncomfortable with the idea of playing on sites and letting the bomb go down. On B, on A, didn't matter. They were pushing down A ramp very aggressively versus MIBR, and they were doing it even if they were losing. So it felt like, as you mentioned, they were stubborn. They were very adamant about needing to have control of it, and it ultimately won them the game. So on the one hand, it looked like they were a bit one-dimensional, but they did win the match. And so you'd think there's a bit of self-awareness in the fact that they feel uncomfortable about letting the bomb go down, but they know eventually they could toe the line by consistently pushing down the A ramp and allowing Art to try to work by himself to get a kill. Such a key component on both their CT and T side on almost every map right now.
Final point on that too, right? Remember, this stubbornness of the CT side happened after an excellent T-sided start. That's not where FURIA find themselves here versus Liquid, but they will, in this first gun round, still try and get Art down here. Smoke grenades in front of him, but he hears the rattling of machine guns just around the corner. That's 3 members of Team Liquid posturing down here towards Fork. Yuri playing around with the idea of the peak. It's a grenade in the hand of his first potential victim, Stewie. Dropped to a quarter of his health, but Elige killing Yuri forces Art to walk away without a trade.
These are going to be harder players to kill than MIBR, and it looks like now that MIBR have won the gambit of this first initial A trade, they start to explode and sprout out throughout the different parts of the A site, up the ramp, putting pressure in a number of locations, and this is what FURIA really hate to see. Now they've got to play passively, split their attention between a couple of angles, and allow Liquid to throw these nades now over the wall.
Playing close crane. Art's gonna see some people start crossing, does manage the one in the back. Henny pops up from behind box, loses his head. That's 2 quick responses coming out of Liquid. And that positioning you saw on ramp, you saw the ability that it offered Team Liquid in terms of piecing together their execute. That is exactly what FURIA were trying so hard to avoid in their most previous matches. So Team Liquid find that footing, they get exactly what FURIA did not want to lose, and look what it transitions them into. They execute onto the site. CT's completely blanketed in smoke. They try to pop up from the hidey holes, but nobody gets more than 1 kill. And with low health on 2 remaining members, Team Liquid survive with 4.
I don't think either team are sleeping on their opponents right now, but with the level of individual skill here, FURIA can't do what they did to MIBR to Liquid again, especially if Liquid feel confident. They just have more talent on the team. It's really just going to be about Liquid. Are they going to deliver? Are they going to survive some of these fights with 10 HP, but win 4 out of 5? Or are they going to drop the opening duel more consistently and allow FURIA to get confident again, because FURIA have already won 2 best-of-3s in a row versus them? This is these establishing rounds that'll tell us how confident #1 Team Liquid is and how consistent FURIA are compared to their last matchups. So here, I think we're just going to have a pause. We got to get someone back on the server, I think. Henny did the impossible and died during freeze time.
How's he manage that?
He can do it all. He really can do it all.
You know, I was out of the loop.
Anything is possible.
We have Mr. AZesque actually manning the ticker here in front of us, bringing the fun facts to the broadcast. So we know exactly right who to praise and blame. Well, I would have had to have read it myself, but you know.
Shoot, maybe we could pop that back up. I actually just didn't realize that there was a stat. So far they've been pretty great. Please.
We have sponsor obligations first, Mohan.
Yeah. Oh, can we get a candle for Lekro? Oh man.
Interesting change, bringing in Hampus.
Yeah.
Here we have it. Liquid Kryptonite.
And you know what? Yuri was amazing yesterday too versus MIBR. He was like impossible to kill with your first player. He was like Magus Boy or something. It's crazy how quickly he was killing the first guy, almost always getting 2.
At least we now know where our eyes have to fall if FURIA are going to dismantle Liquid quickly. But what was your question?
If you're going to play one match versus any team in the world, who's the #1 team you just wouldn't want to play if you were just going to play one match versus any team in the world?
A part of me wants to say FURIA, just because we know they have that classic aggression. And, I think... I don't know. I mean, well, no, Astralis. You imagine trying to hold a bomb site versus an Astralis execute. Like, just imagine all the variations they have on like B site Inferno. I wouldn't know what to do. Plus, you don't even know what players you're against at this point.
Yeah, that's true. But it's at least less shameful, though, to lose to Astralis. Could pick someone who maybe is worse but would still stomp you. That'd feel bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay, fair point. But back into the action. Thank you for bearing with us as we got Henny back in action. Obviously, just looking to take one on the chin, Furia. They've got a couple of M4s, so actually, I'll retract that sentiment. They have successfully won these sorts of rounds in their previous opening series. Yuri picks up the M4 of his fallen comrade. Poor Vinny, the first man to hit the dirt. But, ooh, nice patience here from Liquid. They wait for the peek, they expect it, and they follow suit onto the pistol player too. Alish, close duel versus that P250, but once Naf starts tapping heads like that, it seems all too easy. The second M4 never gets a chance to find itself within the mix. Bomb inevitably going to be planted on the A site, but Team Liquid not risking anything here. Really going through the motions nice and safely.
Yeah, Ali's got the hoe out. He's farming now. He's looking solid. And again, they don't really have to do much. I'd say it's much harder for the CTs to find a way to get the kill on the A ramp, right? The Ts, they go there because that's supposed to be their territory. And they sit and wait and take a bunch of A map duels. I feel like it's kind of fun for the Ts. But, you know, if FURIA do win those duels, then it's a much scarier round. Just feels like you wouldn't expect the CTs to be able to consistently win, but that's clearly the course of action they want to take the most. I wonder what the strategy is going to be moving forward. I think that there is a lot of respect across the board for these two teams between each other, which is awesome. First of all, Liquid, have lost them twice recently. Secondly, they played recently, and thirdly, FURIA have been in good form versus everybody. So I think I think they also probably play a high percentage of their scrims against each other because Alish told me once that it's the Brazilian guys that are constantly scrimming, like all day long. And I imagine FURIA are one of those teams that just want a game all the time. And they're probably going to be one of the better teams that Liquid can practice against right now in a world where practice in NA is probably pretty trash at the moment.
I'm also curious when we look back to the Liquid versus Chaos game, which obviously turned a bunch of heads, understandably. That's a huge upset, and I don't want to discredit Chaos in any way, shape, or form. That was a huge win, especially to reverse sweep the series. But we saw a similar situation with Chaos where they went into the very first day of the Flashpoint League and created an upset to start it all off. And that was the most successful series they had from that point onward. So I just wonder if, it's like initial prep and initial element of surprise that kind of plays into it. A lot of people may have argued that the result of their first BO3 and Masters is a reason to write off Liquid, like never have they slumped this low, etc. But we don't know what Chaos is up to, and we don't know how much Team Liquid are fired up after that sort of a loss. You can only imagine this one means something a bit more. But that's all theory. What I know for certain is we've got a lot of guns ahead of us. Yeah. Everybody's bought up. We've got the walkout middle.
And we obviously can't ignore the other part of the map. It's going to be Team Liquid who ultimately decide what side gets more play. And it looks like, they're paying attention to A, but not necessarily giving it everything. And Art will take this as a clue to just go and push right away. It's such a big amount of information. Eases up on the rotates to the CTs to go over towards B. And Liquid seem to have convinced themselves that they have spent enough time paying attention to A. And this is why Art is so important.
He's found great timing on this flank. Walks right into Naf, gets that initial kill, and he has to go no further than that. I mean, FURIA, they have all the information. Nicely done. Solid hold here from FURIA. Just gunning him down on the staircase. Stewie will get a couple of frags once his teammates all fall. So this is the 1v5. Half health, knowing that Art has struck from behind already. He does need to keep some eyes behind, but 30 seconds left over. The time really becomes his biggest issue. And again, FURIA expecting this. They've got their finger on the pulse, on the pace, and down he goes. Yuri, last frag, and FURIA on the board.
Time's a really important point because ultimately, if the game could go on forever, then the Ts could work A for as long as they wanted to and really move at exactly their own pace. But the moment that Art calls out that they're leaving because the clock is representing that they have to pick a site, and Art takes a risk by peeking down the A ramp, then he can guarantee that flank, right? And that's what's scary for Team Liquid. They seem to do a lot there at A, and Art still found the opening and called them out. He risked dying if they were to come up A, and that's how confident he is.
Whoa. Oh, nicely done by Elige. Skims the head off Yuri. Henny close, though, with the op. Good for a first one. Missing his second chance, but the smoke begins to fade. He slaps Nitro back, and Art, still exposed, is able to body bag another. So it's Twist who will find himself in the clutch this round. 1v3. Weapon up, and Art has already snuck back into the bomb site. He is not alone here on A. He's got Vinny to hold his shoulder. Twist comes rounding into the site and gets a very clean first kill. That's a crucial one. He's got a little bit of time to still keep these CTs separate, and he seems to have wind of the player on short. Just gets around.
Does he know?
And now, last fight, KS Dorado's gonna take it.
He switches. If he didn't switch, he would have had a chance there to actually get the kill. Lots of bullets still left in the mag. That's something he's going to be kicking himself about. It was a good attempt. It was good kills as well. But overall, it's the round that's more important, and it was a very nice hold here from Henny to get the 2 kills that he did. And I like that so this is the thing, you know, like Henny on MIBR, it's like, do they play around him, or is he a piece in the puzzle that doesn't get a lot of attention, like as an individual player? On Furia, Henny seems like he gets tons of respect. He's allowed to play hit the way he wants to, which is an extremely aggressive player who is very comfortable being in open positions. And they use that and they try to highlight it, you know, use Art to help them play those positions. They play it together, and they're always in unexpected spots.
Here we have Henny being burned out from behind sandbags. It was Art caught in the smoke, and yet still Furia are able to recuperate from the man disadvantage. But I agree with your point here. I do think that Henny and Art stylistically match up so nice that maybe if Henny wasn't necessarily, you know, played around in MIBR, maybe it's because that team didn't have the tools to do it so much as Furia does. You know, who on MIBR could you see hanging alongside Henny the same way Art does now?
That's the thing, though. You know, MIBR have switched out so many players, and it's like, at some point, is it you not giving the players the respect they need to grow in your team? Is that why? You know, is that why Henny's working out so well here on this other kind of very different team? That's definitely the question. But we've got a 4v4 situation. Henny's low. Vinny's looking to pop off as the smoke comes up, but the trades are looking pretty good for the T's.
Up until then, CT's still had a solid line held, but Twist's kill versus the short player, that's the one that really spells disaster. And I mean, because they had all out rotated to the A site for Furia when Art died early, they anticipated Liquid trying to follow through with that. And Henny's hesitation brought him a little bit closer towards B through CT spawn. So it's not like that op was posted towards the top shelf of CT and could get into the mix. He was removed from the hit, and Twist did it all. So that's 5 rounds for Liquid off of this bomb explosion. Still just 2 for Furia, and unfortunately for them, cash flow is not very strong.
And it's an expensive, you've got some expensive habits on the CT side. Your nades are very expensive. You've got to get fuse kits on top of that. And your M4s cost more than AKs. There's lots of things that'll make it more difficult to maintain your economy. And that's another reason why playing aggressively on the CT side is always so risky. Because even if you win the rounds, if you play aggressively, you play positions that are harder to trade. And so you'll end up losing or winning most rounds with less players in total, which puts a strain on your economy. And that's why T sides played like T sides, CT sides played like CT side.
So since the op was lost in the end, there is no primary weapon here for Furia. But the pistols afford them a little bit of aggression. As Art flies down top middle, they find 0 resistance here from Liquid. So Furia doing a good bit of just at least taking map control with the little tools they have. In contrast to the A aggression, they head elsewhere. So no surprise to find Liquid here already starting to walk their way up ramp and not really hiding the fact that they have this portion of control already. Nope. They're throwing out their utility. They're softening up KS Dorado, but there's a lot of bodies here on short, so Elige is going to have to be careful. Sure, they're all better equipped than what's ahead of them. It's no surprise to see the frags just flush across the kill feed. It's a clean sweep from Liquid as they get that 6-2 advantage.
Yeah, and it looks like their economy is denigrated to the point that they could potentially opt if KS Dorado wants to drop one, but there would be a lack of nades. We got half armor opt for Henny. He's actually doing okay. Doesn't have his nade kit, but we saw some of the positions he was playing. He won't even be able to throw nades for the most part, so it's not terrible. sometimes you don't even want to buy your nades depending on what spots you're playing, because you know you're not going to be able to pull them out. You don't want to waste $1,000 on them.
Nice. Good angle being held there by Henny. It's tough, man. It's really tough to play those aggressive spots nowadays in the top mid for the CT side because you lost that toolbox. Not only do you not have the biggest piece of cover that would tend to be used, but you also lose that route of escape through window. I mean, think about how many operas used to just stand inside of the window. They could peek to the right to see down B stairs. They could go to the left and hold mid. Tough spot to be in, just like that of Yuri this round. He comes around the yellow tarps, gets the first kill, which is great, but he's spammed down by the 3 remaining members of Liquid. There is still 2 for Furia, one of which is Henny on the op. That's going to enable Art to peek wide off the AUG. A headshot and a little bit of tag damage versus Naf. He's denied anything further. It's Furia to half the score here, 6-3.
Would love to see if Liquid want to do anything more with mid or B, but that establishing kill from Henny to get an op shot down mid, dry, no nades whatsoever, is able to fall back without a trade. I don't think he even takes any nade damage there. And then rotate around is enormous. It's just there's just so much pressure right now on the 5v4. So good to see him try to creatively manufacture a new way to get the kill. It looks like we're back to usual antics. This unorthodox A-ramp, unrelenting aggression.
Yep, and that's a good exchange of grenades and bullets. All 10 players still standing, but the flashbangs continue to fly over. And Stewie's trying to give chase here. Working with a Galil. Utility's still okay for the execution. Naf with the vast majority. Here's Henny on a familiar angle, though, just welcoming Team Liquid to walk around these corners. He does, however, put a warning shot over the bow, so they know what's coming their way. What they may not expect is all 3 players here on short, and a 4th. Good time for the boost. Could catch him slipping. They're just on the cusp, and yep, Yuri's gonna rob one. Now that activates the attempt of a trade from Liquid. Elige caught in the scope of the op, and it's not just 1 or 2 rifles. Remember, 4 bodies for Furia, and everybody's picking up kills. It's a field day for Furia. Twist blast up over towards the sandbags. Oh, a second response from him at least, and some of these players have low HP. It would be a godlike clutch. But I never write the man off. He had the bomb, and now he's gone. It's Henny to take him 9-7.
He's straight up winning this whole map for Furia right now. Like, they're down 2 rounds, but if he gets his kills, they literally don't lose the round. So it's coming down to, basically, can they stop him on the A site? And we look at how Elige just died there, literally dry peeking Henny. And Henny already, I think his finger might have got heavy and he shot a bit too early because he could have got peeked at any time. But he stood in that same position and still got a dry peek kill, which means that Liquid are offering themselves up a bit too easily. And I think maybe they're trying to sift through the offense and see if they can find a rifle kill before moving in. Because once again, the 5v4 stat line seems to be daunting for both teams.
This new cheeky B boost put a player behind the wooden wall without ever exposing him. Like a game of whack-a-mole, Elige is just gonna quickly slip up, and he's shut down. Serato has a prime position for it. You can see in comparison, Vinny, he would have never been able to spot that. So it takes somebody to be a couple steps forward, like in this instance. Stewie makes the jump from the stairs, tries his damnedest with the P250. But last 2 members still back here. I mean, Furia, they were going to regain vision and control it all. No casualties versus the defense. This is great for them. In fact, that's an anti-eco ace for Serato.
Well done. Easy hold. Throwing the eco towards B can make sense simply because, A-Ramp's already a nightmare to try to walk up with the off of Henny and Art just being everywhere and nonstop aggression, and B giving you a bit of freedom down the stairs if you walk there and don't see anybody and realizing they're playing on the site. But Furia realized that they were quite low as well, and so picked those spots. Now we find out, can Furia actually tie this up? There is this mounting issue of Henny that looms over Liquid's head when they think about going towards A, on top of the fact that Art is calling them out when they go B, and then Caserado seems to be in full effect over on B as well. And man, Vinny's amazing at this map on top of all of that, and they barely have had to fight him. So see, again, I feel like FURIA, they're down a rounds, but they look very good for the amount of rounds they have.
Got a good game on our hands. I'm all for it. Whoa, Stewie, he didn't realize somebody's already in the ladder room. He was preoccupied throwing his grenade, so Art peeks out and Naf is smashed. Never saw that coming. He's going to be a little salty about that one. And I'd understand why. Yuri, however, tries to walk around the smoke on his own, and that may present a door for Team Liquid to get a little bit closer to the A site. Oh, and the boost gets red. Yeah, that's a dangerous game. We know that FURIA have alternate versions of the boost, and Vinny, look at him go, just flies out past the flames. Sure enough, Art's still isolated over here on short, and with his utility usage, they're gonna know it, but with a grenade like that, goddamn, it's worth it. Bomb plant from Stu, denied. Caserado gets eyes through smoke and stops it, but Twist doubles back and takes his teammate. So Caserado's gonna have to do everything now, and he's inside the smoke, lurking. He makes a step as he falls off the jump. Twists on the railing, gives cover to the plant, and Team Liquid extend with another round. That's 7-5.
I'm not a huge fan of FURIA consistently throwing bodies at the problem before the round. Like the bomb's even gone down, even when they have like a pretty good situation with Art getting that opening kill. But at the same time, it's their brand. You know, Vinny flying out wide, Yuri taking the peek off the corner of the smoke. I mean, Yuri was the free kill that Liquid found off that lurk smoke. So that was the big one that brought them back into the round. But then everybody else is like, U8 planted this bomb on my watch and just started flying out like Banelings to try to stop them. And ultimately exploded a bit too far away. Couldn't get enough damage to get a kill. And Liquid won. I can't help but feel like this whole Vertigo meta on A is it just feels a little bit random. And I really wonder why teams want to play it so much for this reason. I mean, maybe it's the T side. They feel like they have a slight advantage on. If they can pull those out, then they'll be fine. But there's not a lot of credence right now towards A or towards B, even though Liquid tried it on the pistol and an eco or two.
It almost feels like the randomness from A site has always existed. You know, remember when we used to just get tons of wallbang fights and then like post-plant smoke spam? Well, it's almost like the randomness has just shifted further down the ramp. Now that same fight unfolds, but not at the end of the round in the post-plant at the top, rather at the beginning of the round at the bottom. It's bizarre, but it's an element of Vertigo, and it's an element of this matchup, and we are pretty much close as can be here. Team Liquid, sure, they do establish the 5v4 early, which is great for them. Nafly gets that pick at the cost of 80 health, and they're already starting to group themselves outside of A. Keep an eye on FURIA's. Again, they've got bodies towards short. Gonna be tough to get a boost off with all the bullets flying through, but a third person arrives and Art gets just one kill before falling. Now Yuri activates out from the corner again, one and done, trade after trade, and the dink so close. Alish surviving on a single point of health, and Naf would have been all that's left. Again, 20 HP for him. So an incredibly close one once more for Liquid.
I'd love to take hit tab and see the bomb plants, see how many bomb plants that we've had this game. Because here's another round that gets won by elimination, and that's kind of nice for FURIA. You know, not allowing Liquid to get bomb plants, but in general they've been kind of throwing caution to the wind with a lot of players consistently and taking L's in that regard. But Liquid have now established a great T side. They put FURIA on an eco. Nice little spray transfer there from Stewie 2K.
2 bomb plants is what I see on the scoreboard. Or at least 2 bomb explosions, and no rounds for FURIA have been by way of defuse.
Yeah. They just don't, it's just not even in their sky. I mean, I don't even know why they buy kits. What's the point? Save the money.
Keep the all in action.
Next round. Yeah.
But this is it. This is the last round of their CT side. We're gonna have a swapping. They'll keep dropping down ramp. Art gonna get real close, and we haven't seen him successfully this close before. He's got the back of Alish, and he's gonna call his teammates to just leave him here. Alish starts to chase, and because he turns around, nature of the beast. Art has to start firing. Nitro flicks up and somehow keeps himself alive. Stewie with a single kill and a double, denying Henny anything further, keeping this round 2 versus 2, and enabling this bomb perhaps to be planted on A because the rotate still a little delayed. Stewie's up and over, gets the first one, and now it's all on KS Dorado to try and clutch again. He's got the creep and crawl, rounding corners on short, understands that Liquid are trying to fumble back into their post plant, which they have. Smoking to frag. Remember, he does not have a kit. Now finding the bomb, planting at an extended point on ramp. That tap, he sees the flash and just stares at it. Not going to pan out for him, but an excellent first half here from Team Liquid. They'll take those double digits before they start their CT side. Ladies and gents, we'll see you after the break for the second half of the first map. Halfway up, halfway down. We are done with the first 15 rounds of Vertigo. Team Liquid leading by 5. Double digits on the T side of Vertigo. That's an excellent place to be for them. And if it wasn't versus FURIA, who we know can conquer this very same half of this very same map, Mohan, I would say Team Liquid are safe. But never count your chickens before they hatch if those chickens are labeled FURIA.
Especially if they're labeled FURIA, then you don't want to do that, that's for sure. Stewie is watching a big wide angle all by himself. Oh, the smoke comes out a little late. He doesn't hear all the footsteps. They made so much progress so quickly. Didn't bother taking their time. That was the opposite of inconspicuous. Ran all the way to heaven as quickly as they could, and now are in the sight. But it pays off. Just got time to be patient in 2020. The world could end at any minute.
Yeah. We've never had a better reason to YOLO, Launders.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's keep at it. But listen, I want to draw a contrast. That was, or rather a comparison, the opposite. That pistol was just the exact same thing we saw from Liquid on their T side. Just a good old split into the B bomb site. Members coming up the stairs and also through this new piece of construction. The retake falls flat for Team Liquid. So FURIA just pedal to the metal. They sprint into the B bomb site to kick off their T side, and it works wonders for them.
We know FURIA do a lot more stuff at mid and B as well. Oh my god, he had long range burst. Yeah. First of all, the audacity of having burst on from that distance is one thing, but getting the shot in is another. That works better even with the echo, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's good.
We've got that in our back pocket.
Reverberation.
Let's keep it there. Speaking of full pockets, look at these grenades.
Yeah, they bought up. They intend on winning this round. Hopefully, if it is going to be just like this A-site take, they don't try to rotate in and get retake kills when they spend all their money on a good foundation to throw good guns onto. You don't really just want to throw away bodies at this point.
Ooh. Didn't expect that one. Yuri takes to the top rope of the A-bomb site. Now there's the answer though. A frag from Nitro. Bomb plant coming in from KS Dorado. He's going to prioritize the digit. We've seen this happen. Those frag grenades reserved for when the bomb attempt happens on A. They've got the bank nades. Works out wonderfully. Helps, of course, that Twist gets the deagle shot after the softening from the nades. But here we have it nonetheless. That's a T-side smoke to just plume in the face of Vinny. He's trying to play around this. They're going to get on top of the bomb, but I mean, yeah, big hit. He sticks it, and Team Liquid robbed the round. I was wondering to myself, with so many smokes and that kit in the mix, whether someone was going to just go sprinting into it, but Nafly died early. I didn't see that Twist had already picked that bad boy up. So
Man, that was a really...
And just slides away.
That was really awesome to watch. I mean, Twist, he catches the fallback kill after the 2 nades land, but don't get the frag. They do a good job of safely securing the first kill. There's so much cool stuff that happened around. They use all of their nades perfectly. The flashes to help them get on the bomb out of sight with the smoke, landing in the perfect spot. I mean, that was awesome. And they, they really didn't. Some people buy 5 deagles in a round, don't do nearly as much. I mean, let alone win the round, of course.
Here's Nitro. Not going to try to play the trigger discipline, just looking to get these kills racked up. FURIA, of course, buying back into this, trying to respond. But that's huge. And you know what? Not only does he stick the defuse, but that also just drew my eyes to the scoreboard where Twist has 20 kills.
Yeah, it's 20 and 8.
That's huge for Team Liquid. Excellent first half. They lose pistol and then the bounce back.
And they are fighting fire with fire here, pushing down the A ramp, waiting for everybody to jump up for more fights. I mean, Nitro, keep him coming. He's open for business.
It's like a conveyor belt of frags.
Yeah, this is the absolute cooking mama, the situation right now.
Then the tension dies down a little.
Yeah, I mean, they tried it 3 times, so maybe something new. Plus the AKs. They did drop some of their weaker players who were sporting pistols.
You see, this sort of success from Team Liquid is what starts to pique my curiosity in terms of like, how stubborn are FURIA going to be today? Because we saw that stubbornness yesterday, and it worked. But now they don't have what they had then, which was a great first half to fall back on. Their T-side is where they put in their work, and their T-side hinged on getting this A ramp control. Our first, I would argue, real gun round, and Nitro throws a spanner in the works. But go on.
It was both, but it was the CT side that was a little more sketchy, right? Like they had they had a good T side that allowed them to barely win on CT.
Smooth as butter.
So maybe, but yeah, like should they? But they also did a lot of stuff at mid and B, which is what makes FURIA so fun to watch. At least on Vertigo, they like trying new things.
Where they're going now. Art runs that MAC-10 right into Stewie. Naf tries to find engagement to his favor, but that's Henny with a second frag on the elevator room. So denying out that mid help. Once Stewie falls off this platform and calls that the aggression's there, Henny's the one that locks it down. But Nitro has been able to slip into the ladder room while Henny is continuously watching mid, anticipates a peek from one of these 3 positions. Tough job to do on his own. Tough clutch to close. However, he has the bomb, and if he had kept going to the A site, he'd be fine, but Nitro's about to get him. Nitro's flank eventually sniffs him out, and that's Team Liquid 13-6, and money's gone for FURIA.
It is, yeah. They're definitely playing without fear and looking very good. I mean, if FURIA don't get the chance for Henny to get on and off, if they even want to get there, then we won't even have to talk too much about their T side. Once again, having a good first half just eases up on whatever you do in the second. You can trip over the finish line if you just win a couple of key rifle rounds, and it feels like that's what's happening right now. So 13 up, and this round looks like it should make it 14. They're doing some of the same stuff. Behind a smoke, it's relatively safe. I don't think Nitro is going to show us kind of as much or as little risk aversion as Art is on this A ramp. He's probably just going to sit back a little bit, let the kills come to him. But that's certainly going to be enough to win the round.
Big moves. Still some presence being offered over here at mid, but Elige clotheslines 2 players, dropping that AK most importantly than anything else, and then a clean sweep from the follow-up peaks. Team Liquid 14 rounds to 6.
Twist 24 and 8 deaths is the most important part. It makes it so much beautiful to have less than 10 deaths, right? That KD is what's the most impressive part of his scoreline, of course. The Chad elimination win. The round has been won by bomb explosion twice and defusal just once, all by Team Liquid. And that's almost because FURIA have set the stage for how much they wanted Liquid to get to the bomb plant portion of the round. Post plants did not seem to be something they cared for, and that's what they got. But playing that way, only none of them 5 rounds. And maybe they have to expand their T side a little bit to entertain the thought of figuring out how to do retakes on top of playing how they normally do, just so they can be a bit more dynamic.
Art, though. Here he comes yet again. Ooh. Looked like that frag grenade was maybe going to miss him. That's the new update. Otherwise, it would have been 1 damage.
No, yeah. This is the best case scenario.
What do you make of this? Liquid giving up short pretty early. Welcoming them in. It was the key for them to win their force buy.
Yeah, that's a good point. They feel a bit more comfortable on their retakes. Like, we see these nades being prompt already. HE used to bounce off of the steel beams. One nade goes a little bit wide. Lots of damage done to Vinny. Not terrible. I think would have loved to get a kill, though. They've still got another couple of mollies to work with, however.
Let's see it. Already starting to peek over top box. Elige
sandbag
finds one through smoke. It's going to be Art up close with Yuri. Good crossfire, but Elige a second one through that smoke. Yuri's position, however, this is still cheeky, real sneaky. Fires off, but he's so committed. He's stuck, and now it's on his teammate to trade, which he will. Vinny gets it over the line, but just barely. I mean, what a stark contrast. We saw Team Liquid give up that site, forfeit, and offer to play the retake. That is something FURIA would never give to their opponents on A.
And it's probably because FURIA just look at those post plans, they have figured it out, and they know how to be very comfortable. A lot of that comes down to your, 250 damage or so in that round.
Yeah.
Big part of it, maintaining the crossfire. And then Vinny coming off of the instant trade too was quite nice. They always come to the heat of their teammates instantly. Yuri getting taken out so quickly, coming through the smoke. And in being dynamic, Liquid also have the ability to catch FURIA off guard a bit more often, right? Sometimes they push A ramp, sometimes they don't. It makes it harder to play against. So I don't think it's the end of the world for Liquid to lose one post plant retake. It came super close, and there's a lot of situations where they'll actually get a kill with some of that utility they used.
Nicely timed.
Oh, beautiful.
Perfect wallbang for KS Dorado. Elige still tucked in short. He's got Nitro to help him out, but Nitro on such little health has to really play cautiously. Especially with the fire up, but it seems like Elige was caught off by the timing there. Didn't expect FURIA to be so aggressive off the molly. Nitro had lost his vision earlier. They boost over. I love that. Smooth counter boost works for 1 kill. They find information versus Twist. Sure, it costs them a body, but it also forces the issue here with them on the save. So Case Dorado, good footwork over there on the A site. Kicks it all off with a wallbang frag.
Yeah, if you got the wall bang that bangs back, sometimes you can spam through it, sometimes you get spammed. Comes down to timing a little bit. There, they did it after throwing a Molotov, which maybe is something they've done in the past. They know Liquid like to start up their boost from that point once they see that Furia are starting to aggress up the ramp. And so from there, could have been completely lucky timer from Caserado, could have been a read based on situations he's seen before. But either way, it was dead on the mark, and it was all in the right timing. Specifically, when a player's on the other one's head, it's not even easy to move while you're getting spammed. So, well done there.
I'm really curious to see whether they throw that counter boost on what was the CT boost, because remember, that's where Elige in the previous round gets his kills in their retake attempt. He's spamming bodies through the smoke. He's using the elevation to his advantage, and Furious, they screw this, throw a player up themselves, catch those T's by surprise. Variation on the boost. We saw this exact boost from Furia yesterday, so they could be aware of it, but Liquid will hold it for the time being.
And you see Twist checking all angles because they know Furia is not afraid to lurk. Very aggressively too. Art not having the game of his life could potentially be a contributing factor to such a lopsided scoreline. They drop the boost. They go back. Molotov lands behind them. That pushes them out of a really important piece of map control. Not a lot of nades to hold, so how passive will they get?
Gotta dodge those wall bangs, and so far so good. But they are consistent.
Oh.
The boost back up, perfect timing, but Art's coming up close on short. He's inside of the smoke already. He's gonna find these two players stacked all too easy. Nitro's able to trade one off that CZ, but nothing further for the hold. No, sir. Stewie, single off, far too valuable to just throw away. So this is Furia gaining their 9th round on the board.
It's really a great job of just option coverage there. They pulled off that boost before, but there was no targets to hit. And then the moment they try it, it's when there is a target to hit, but Art is specifically pushing out at that same timing to cover his team. So nicely done from him. Takes him into double digits and just shows us you can have impact even when you don't have many kills.
It's like almost a third layer to that boost. I'd argue, right? We have it at first with nobody on the other side. Then there was that time period where Furia are just spamming walls so that Liquid can't go for any sort of boost. And then the moment that they can finally, comfortably get up there, as you said, Art so prepared to just smack them down. And he did that, flipped them off, and pushes, of course, Team Liquid into the pause.
Yeah, some things we see, some things we don't, is that, everything could be encouraging the other team to do something. A spam, a wall bang, and Yuri and Caserado combined have nearly 45 kills on the map in the last 4 against Liquid, but only have 28 so far today. Only in air quotes because they are trying their butts off, I guess. But yeah, the meta of the rounds in these matches where teams have played against each other so much, a certain timing on a wall bang could try to influence a response like a boost or a nade to come out, draw out a bit of utility. And it's the small advantages that eventually pile up and allow teams to win rounds more consistently. But some of the stuff we don't get to see because it's more about the psychology of these two teams playing against each other.
The underlying matchup meta.
Yeah. It's as convoluted as it sounds.
Matchup meta. Is that what it should be called? Is there an official term? I don't know. But here's Twist. Flashed into the peak excellently, and he does get that second. I mean, man, he was struggling for that second kill, but I love his commitment for it. Now they're going to start sprinting into this B site. Stewie's got a little bit of cover. He gets himself one as well. Man advantage up for Liquid. Caserado's trying to move forward as Henny holds the flank, and he gets himself a single kill. So the man advantage has slipped back the other way. And Caserado has to clutch. He's caught jumping, though. Accuracy offset, and Team Liquid take 15.
It's crazy. Both those kills mean a completely different round. If Henny gets his frag, gets a bomb plant on B, if that kill goes the way of Caserado towards mid, but Henny loses his frag, then they can potentially still win the 1v1. They end up losing the 250-50s off of good positioning, I guess, from Liquid. The aim was just a slightly better, and that takes them over into match point.
Flashbangs again. A little chaos being created here on ramp, but it is just one player posturing for Furia. The rest of the squad heads towards B. Awesome angle here from Twist. Just swooping death down from above, and the backstab from Young Stu lines him up, knocks him down, and sends Furia packing. 16-9, most certainly, you'd think, unless Yuri has a godlike clutch in him. He'd also need the ace, and nothing is found, folks. 16-9, an awesome showing for Team Liquid. You know, sometimes, Launders, you don't feel yourself falling until you hit rock bottom. And if that's what the loss versus chaos serves as a wake-up call for Liquid, then I'm all for it, because this was a one-sided map, and now the entire outcome of this series is in question.
Yeah, we know that Furia liked Vertigo. They should have played really well on it. There were question marks about yesterday. Some of those question marks were confirmed with their playstyle today. On the one hand, you like that they knew who they were and decided to maintain that aggression. But on the other hand, since Liquid knew that as well, they punished them for being too one-dimensional and ultimately never really lost control of the match. Maybe after that first pistol, things could have been different, but they showed us that amazing eco strat with all those smokes and only pistols that allowed them to win and take control of the game again. So really well done from Team Liquid on that one.
They take the first one, but we have, of course, another map up next, folks. It's the pick of Liquid. We'll see you on Nuke after the break.